YouTube. I'd like to, if it's
Yeah,
something
definitely.
worthwhile, we both enjoy, then why not just share it with others?
Okay.
So it's a yeah. So we're meeting. Hi guys, we're meeting with Grant. I'm from BioVeda, and Grant is from Ayurveda, and he's sharing his story and what he's doing. So Grant, if you could just repeat that again, please.
Yeah, so yeah, I've been working on this direction for about 10 years, the socio-technical standards for essentially a different way of living on the planet, a way that we can live together, meeting our human needs at a global level without the necessity for trade, so essentially without the market, and without the necessity for the state, so essentially without coercion. And we now have the technology and we now have the information and the knowledge on the planet in order to do that. So we can conceptually organize a different state of the world. We can conceptually organize a different way in which we interact and a different way in which we use technology so that it's all oriented toward our human need fulfillment. And we can do that through a set of socio-technical standards because everything that we do right now is created through socio-technical standards. Even in the market state, any technological society has to use these socio-technical standards, which are a set of agreements and knowledge, an accumulation of knowledge and accumulation of agreements that are applied toward the way we live together. So Auravana hosts these socio-technical standards, and essentially it represents a different configuration of society. So every society you can imagine is broken up into four primary systems: a social system, a decision system, an economic system at a higher level is a decision system, a material system, so like the objects and material we have around us, and then a lifestyle system. So the market state type society has those four systems, and a community configuration of society, because that's really what we're searching for all together as living on this planet together in harmony and living with the planet together in harmony. We're essentially looking for community at the local level, the regional level, and the global level. And we can now, through this essentially new understanding, we can configure our society together so that we live in harmony with everything around us. And essentially the Auravana project proposes a set of socio-technical standards that we can apply that then reconfigure our material environment, reconfigure our relationships away from trade and away from coercion and toward global human need fulfillment.
That's amazing. I think is it Grant or Travis?
It's Travis, but some people call me Grant too, or
No,
Grant. It
Travis.
depends
So
where
your
you're
first name is
from.
Travis. Travis, you have to absolutely come here. Um, I'd love to, we'll provide you a place to live for like a week. And I mean, it's also, I mean, rental here is affordable, but come and stay here. It's very important for what you're doing for you to experience this community. So I've just was sharing to Travis that I've left two homes behind on the other side of Russia. I drove here for 10 days. Left my wife behind. She didn't want to come, and I have a really close relationship with her. I'm actually, in a bit of pain right now, emotional, like in my heart chakra. So really feeling that because she's like, oh, it's a sect, without really checking it out. And I've been here 3 times, and this is my fourth time. So it flips my mind completely. So the place I'm staying at, a couple came 10, 11 years ago with two suitcases, an old car, and they have this huge 23-hectare land, and the land prices are going up here because there's such a need for like especially in the villages, and there's 3 villages, maybe like 700, 800 people in each village. But basically it flipped my mind because they came with nothing, and they have this most amazing land, and not just land, they've built up there, they're growing their own food, and they're living in such peace together, like such warm relationship. um and other people, they just what I heard the other day, not about 2 weeks ago, from another man. So there's three types of people in the world. So there is the Western person, which we could say, you know America and Europe and all of that. Everything is calculated, like permaculture. We're going to do it like this, like this, like this. There's a 700-page book of how and precision, and we're gonna investigate everything. We're gonna have lists and checklists for everything. Then you have like the Eastern man, and that will be the India and Tibet, and everything is slow there, and they can meditate for a long time. because if they don't plant something a month later or four, it'll still grow. So chill, meditation, Zen, let's conceptualize, let's contemplate, let's be with it, let's be in the present, and it's like that type of thing. And then you have the Siberian man, the northern man, and they have full trust in nature because it gets so freaking cold that you can literally die in 2 hours if you don't have shelter. If you get lost, like in this taiga, which I'm here, if I get lost 2 3 hours, I can't find the road, can't get to my warm car. It's over, basically over. And they have this deep trust for nature that it will take care of them, but you also take care of all your needs. Like I was taking a video, and I'll share some of these things. Maybe you want to put them over the footage of every single plot. And a plot here in a village is a quarter of an acre. Okay, plus minus a third of an acre. Okay, 1,500 square meters, let's say. So every single plot has got vegetable gardens. There's not one that I've seen yesterday. It was amazing. And everybody's in the gardens, 2, 3, 5, 7 people digging out potatoes, digging out pumpkins, helping each other without money. And it's blowing my mind. You have to, why I'm saying that is I cannot explain this place. I cannot explain Russia to you. A lot of the Russia is like that. People also, even if they're drinking out of this community, like on the other side of Russia, they're also like, they could be drinking, but they'll still plant their potatoes and pumpkins, and they'll get all their vegetables. And it's hard to find labor because nobody gives a rat's ass, because they all have a home that you can get for $1,000. You can get a home with 1 hectare for $1,000. It's like unheard of.
Wow.
Yeah, you'll put in maybe $2,000-3,000 to renovate it so it looks really mint, but it'll have a Russian oven. You go into the forest, you chop down some old dry wood, and that's what we're doing there. Nobody's asking you questions, and you just and if you fire up and you warm, and you have a hectare of land. So it's amazing to see there's so much land here, and it's a completely different value on land because nobody's like, so it's almost land is valuable where there's people. And I came all the way to the side of Russia because there's master craftsmen, there is beautiful nature, there is society. Society is so important. Travis, I was staying on the other side of Russia. I nearly went mad. I've tried so many. I've lived in the city for 35 years. Moscow, Johannesburg in South Africa. So I've like done the city. I don't want to go there for obvious reasons: electromagnetic radiation, noise, density, pollution. Although I really love coming to Moscow, and it's like, wow, but 3 days and I've had it. And then I've lived in a village with 2 other neighbors. One neighbor shot at me. It was here in Russia, not at me, but above me, because they just don't get us. And there's that competition. That's what I wanted to say to you, that you have all your things worked out. But there's one thing that you haven't mentioned is, what do we do when people's traumas kick in? And people's traumas will kick in. And when people feel bad, I'm just fast tracking. There is a law of compensation. So they want to push on another person. They want to push it down, like just maybe say something a little nasty, like almost like not nasty, but a little nasty. And then the person like, kapa, and they're like, yeah, okay, and 99% of the time the person will take it. And because it won't be so bad, but like, oh, what are you worried about? It just said that, but it will be like boom, it will bring them down. As they bring down, these people get a little boom pop, a little English word for boom pop from, and that happens left, right, and center. And in all these communities, that's the main thing that actually makes people fall out is competition. The law for compensation and competition. Competition is driven to us from school days. A plus for you, Travis, or E minus for you. And if you got an E minus, you hate yourself, that you're always like the bad boy in the class. And then the guy who gets A plus is like, hey, bastard, why did you get such a good mark? And you hate them. And good boy, bad boy. I mean, this amazing creator comes down through an avatar called Travis, and suddenly his mom, I'm just giving example, says, oh, bad boy, good boy. Polarity starts. This, what am I? Am I this whole being that universe just came down, or split into two? And that really, and these are important things to talk about, because you know, as you do processes, maybe in your life, you'll go back to those moments where they really hurt you, saying something to you at the age of 5. And if people don't work with that, it like haunts them for the rest of their life. They get to drugs, to alcohol, just because that little inner child's been hurt at the age of 5 and they can't let go. So these are important things to share. So one, just to summarize, you got to visit. I believe you have to visit this community, and I'll support your journey here. A good time is um yeah, July next year. See if you can get out then. There is a really
Okay.
lovely, amazing ethnic festival which happens about 2 hours drive from here, called Mir Sibiri, the world of Siberia, and it's an ethnic music festival. Just like, it's nothing to do with this thing, but this community. But it's and then we'll come down here and actually just show you around a little bit. And so, but yeah, carry on. I just want to plug that into what you said.
Yeah, that's amazing. I used to speak Russian. I studied Russian for a couple of years, and I studied in Moscow, the Russian language. But that was like 20 years ago. I completely forget everything that I learned back then. Yeah, there's a lot happening in Russia. The Russian people are very unique in many different ways. Did
Mm.
you were living in Russia before you met your Russian wife, or what's your history there? You went from South
I stay.
Africa to
My history is that I was born in Uzbekistan. At the age of 2, moved there from to Moldova, which was still part of USSR, and then I moved to Moscow at the age of 10. And at the age of 14, I left to South Africa, to the most
okay.
dangerous city, one of the most dangerous cities on earth,
Yep.
Johannesburg.
Yep.
So there with my parents, I came, and then I kicked off a decor business with spandex. So that's where
Hmm.
I got into the whole bionic Gaudi type of thinking mindset with liquid lines. Then 2007, I went to my first workshop on ferrocement, which is basically seashell type of, you make the most amazing sculptures that you can live in. And then I just, one workshop after another, learned about earthships and cult earth and sandbags, and then I was building and prototyping and the whole water situation. And then I left to the farm in 2009. I've had enough of the city, so I'm like, told my ex-wife, let's go. We left to the farm. We bought a farm. We started, bought it cash. Quite interesting, a really beautiful farm. But again, didn't have like-minded people, didn't have that community. I mean, there were a couple of neighbors, but yeah, just, yeah, that's it. There was a couple of neighbors, and like nobody was visiting me there. And then before I knew, I prototyped a lot of the eco building things that I was learning from permaculture and stuff, and the Cal Earth. And then I've got a presentation that I can throw in over this. But yeah, basically then I bankrupted because I had this feeling the
Oh,
dollar is bad, and money is bad, evil. So I had that story, and then the money left me, and I turned out bankrupt. And when you don't have enough food in your garden and you don't have enough money to buy it, you quickly tail under the bum. We had a robbery on the farm there that tied up my ex-wife and my son with knife and hammer and tied them up, stole a whole bunch of laptops and this and that. And basically, yeah, lots of crying with lost. I took a massive overdraft from the bank, like minus $20,000. And it was the last little bit of cash I could take from the bank. I bought one way ticket back to Johannesburg, where I had my house that I bought on credit. That was just, I wasn't paying to the bank because I did the whole Freeman thing where I asked them where's my original contract. They said they don't have it, so I gave them a finger, because they sell the contracts. Yeah, yeah. So I didn't pay for 4 years, and then they found my original contract. And because you either have to study the whole Freeman thing if you're going to go with it, or you don't study it, and then when they give you what you're asking for, it's like no questions asked. So you cough up, what you. And then basically, because I'm telling you the story because the story is quite interesting. I'm just condensing it.
yeah.
I've had I came back to the city, to my home that was, not loved. I had all these permaculturists living in it that they were doing nothing. Because I gave them the house for free to live in because I wasn't paying to the bank. So I'm like, hey guys, run a permaculture workshop, food forest workshop, just live here. And that's, I learned about that whole thing. If you give somebody for nothing, then yeah, it just doesn't work. That energetical, I'm not saying it's got to be money, but I tried without money and I got basically schneid by 3 people. It wasn't just one or two or three, it was 3. So yeah, they did nothing with my home positive, just left me a whole bunch of rubbish and electricity bill and left, that kind of thing. So I've had that experience, and then I've had this in my bath, blub blub, city sewer was coming up through my toilet and my bath, coming up because I'm on the
Oh
river
man.
and I'm lower than the sewage pipe. So when the logs come down in spring, they hit that sewage pipe and it bends and it sewage started overflow. Eventually, 7 years later, it overflowed and covered 3 feet deep both of my downstairs rooms with shit from city, not even my shit, somebody
Oh.
else's shit, turds, and oh, it was terrible. No, well, yeah. So anyway, I was basically getting off the water grid. So I thought, I have to get off the sewer, but I didn't make it in time. And but I've created a whole water course. We basically
Yes.
applied my permaculture knowledge, and I started harvesting rainwater, and I got made all these wetlands for biogas digester, for toilet water, shower water. I got something else, kitchen water, had something else. So I basically sorted out the water and made a whole online abundance of water course from it. And so I had that experience of coming back to the city and learning to love the money again, learning to love my company, which was doing spandex decor, but at the same time pushing on permaculture. And then I relocated to Russia. We recently lost our house 2 years ago. We actually gave it to the bank because I just couldn't pay anymore. And then COVID, and we just left. We just took all the solar panels down, took all the pumps down, and all the $150,000 worth of investment into permaculture tech. I just left. I just walked out of the house. I just walked out. I couldn't sell
Oh.
it because of COVID, because it's so strange, all these domes and this. And, it was one plane and it was taking Russian people back to Russia, and I just jumped on that plane and we just left. So the bank eventually sold it on an auction, and I was paying 12 years. I paid the home off, but you obviously know how the whole system works. The first 15 years you're paying the interest, not
Yes.
the amount. So that was at the age of like 38. I lose everything I basically built up, and I moved to Russia with a bicycle, and I buy a bicycle. So I had a nervous breakdown then because my ego of this businessman, successful, suddenly riding a bicycle, no car. So then I moved out. We were staying in the Duchess. Duchess is these Russian. Everybody lives in flats generally in Russia. A lot of in the cities, yeah. And then they have these little plots of like um, a quarter of an acre, even less, a quarter of an acre. So we stayed at my current wife's place, but neighbors are everywhere. It's like everybody's, because they only come there for 3 months of summer. There's lots of noise, lots of activity, lots of drinking, lots of chainsawing, and I'm like, too much. you know so we moved to a home in a live village, just a normal live village. There were two neighbors, and one of them I didn't quite gel, and he shot at me with a rifle, not at me but above me, and it was terrible.
Hmm.
So we left. We're still selling that home, and then we bought another home in another village, and a neighbor went and cut some trees from my property, and also I don't want to live there, so I left it. It's also standing there, another home, not huge money, but still, it was like what, 400,000 rubles. Now it's 60 to 1, so maybe what, five, six, $7,000. And then we went into abandoned village. We said, stuff it all. We don't want neighbors at all. We don't want problems. So we went into an abandoned village, and yeah, and then I just started climbing walls there because we are social beings. We need people, we need community. Whilst it's amazing to interact on Zoom with people like yourselves, and I've got loads of friends in America who we chat. There's nothing like a live connection where you can feel the person's energy. You're sitting in front of the fire, chatting, sharing a meal. Not just your wife. I mean, your wife might be great, but we need, like, men needs other men's energies. Like, gosh, I don't want to do it alone. So yeah, so I just ran away from that place. I literally was so bad. It was at the time just sitting and shaking like this. I'm like, I can't stand living without people. And then I came here 2 months ago, and I went back there, and I just went absolutely into huge depression. I packed my entire car, but this van I'm sitting in, and I just drove here for 10 days so I could just have people. I left my wife. I left 3 houses behind in Russia. that we've collected over 3 years, and
Hmm.
I just left it all behind and packed what I could pack in my van, my concrete mixer, and I came just like I came and starting life from scratch. My wife is behind; she doesn't want to move here, so I've had quite a lot of experiences, and I I I I'm saying this all that I've tried everything except community living,
Yeah.
and this is not a normal community because you're living on your land, so you have amazing privacy, but yet within a bicycle ride, you're 5,000 people. And I'm not saying all these 5,000 people are nice. I mean, there's some fanatics and there's some idiots and there's some wankers. But out of 5,000 people, there could be 50 to 100 nice people that one could do and collaborate and cooperate. But they are not, and how can I say, if you move to a typical community, it's like it's shared land and, which is kind of what I'm living now. But it's a couple. A husband, he's 70, and 59 his wife, and they're very mature, and we're like a family bonding. And so I'm just trying, I'm just staying for a week, so very
Hmm.
early days to speak. Many people who have tried with them got bounced out, not by them, but the land just kicks them out. But so far so good, so far
Okay.
so good, but at the same time I have this I can purchase my own little plot here if I want, but I don't want to live alone. I want to actually, I came here to be with people. So it's the best of all the worlds. You have 5,000 people, you have master craftsmen, you have amazing nature, and yet you have your own privacy and your land that nobody, yeah, you can have private property. I can buy in a village a little plot, or I can buy land outside, but then you don't have electricity, solar, wind, whatever, but you're like
Hmm.
off grid. And there's nothing scary with that, because there's so much firewood everywhere. There's really no worry. No building laws. Another thing important for you to notice, because that's a huge one. I can build a 4-story thing right now. I can start digging tomorrow. I don't have to ask anybody anything. No septic permits, no green liquid waste permit, nothing, and no permits at all. I can just start building a 4-story building tomorrow. 5-story would be pushing it, but I can start building a 4-story thing right tomorrow. I don't have to ask. I don't have to register it. I don't have to tell anybody anywhere.
Yeah. That's
So
amazing.
that's like a little download. So that's huge, because in America you can't do that. $20,000 you haven't started building, and then when you start building, you have to like this inspector has to come and check the plumbing. This one has to come and check electrical, and then you like $25,000 later, and that's beside. Here, these people arrived with like freaking 2 suitcases, and they've built themselves an amazing life.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And you have electricity there, you have water, you have essentially
Solar.
you
They,
have
they just
essentially a
got a
life
couple.
support.
Uh, yeah, it's like yeah, exactly, because there's no electrical permits. You kind of like hook up 2 panels, you get a little inverter, you get a couple of car batteries, and off you go. Then you need a bit more power, you get 2 more panels, you get 2 more car batteries, you get and another little inverter and a charge controller,
Yeah.
and off you go once again.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's a bulldozer coming.
Is there a lot
He's
of
coming to
construction? Oh. Oh,
uh,
wow. It's
Yeah,
evening
he's
there.
coming to dig these stones because there is crazy. He's just coming to this beautiful river place, and he's gonna dig stones and load them into huge lorries. And nobody's gonna ask him questions either.
Okay.
So it's like it's total. It's like a wild west, really. It's crazy.
But it's also organized in many ways. How is the organization done? We only have 10 minutes left on the call with Zoom right now. But how is the social governance structured there? How is decisioning
Okay, so
structured between
it's
everybody?
a very good question. So they came here for the belief. The reason that this thing pulled off here with so many people is this guy came down. He says he's the second Christ. He's the Word of God, and maybe he is. I don't know. I have never met him, so I really can't question. I'm not saying I'm so mad that I can even think that he is, but I speak to all these people. These are not like lame people. These are people that came from Moscow, St. Petersburg, Vladivostok, Yekaterinburg, those big cities. They're not like
Yeah.
down village people. They sometimes have 2, 3 university degrees. It's a very smart people. I don't know about this guy, but they pulled it off because they came around these spiritual beliefs. Okay,
Hmm.
So they have this thing considered as one family or singularity family, like one, the one family. So if you're in this family, I don't know what you get back, and that's what I will try and get them. It looks like what you get back is like this guy has like came back now. His mom died. He came back, and everybody's just giving him vegetables. He helped a couple of people to dig out the vegetables. He didn't plant vegetables because he went to, for his mom she passed away, did that whole process. But he came back, and his underground cellar is full of vegetables. They're just everybody's giving him vegetables. So that's kind of what so you get the ability to actually wing it without money.
Okay.
So
Really?
somebody will give you some building material, somebody will give you this. You could live at somebody's house if like obviously it has its toll, as I said, like people, because they're choosing not to have money, then if your teeth start falling out at the age of 50 or 60, you kind of like you can't put a crown in, and some of them have walk without teeth. Not all of them, there's some successful ones, but a lot of them came and they abandoned the whole money idea. So obviously
Hmm.
it takes, the organizational thing is that they basically have to put in like 3-4 hours a day. Здравствуйте. Я на звонке. Мне нужно двинуться куда-то?
Не-не, вы не по камню?
Нет. So it's 3-4 hours a day they have to put into communal work, or
Yeah.
25 or 27 hours a week, which is quite a bit. But at the same time, I'm living on the land now with this couple, and I also I'm putting in, but it's not conflicting because I lived in an abandoned village without any people. I came here for people. I came here to collaborate, and if people would be, and it's not like I'm putting in 3 hours to do something like that I don't. I believe that people should be doing what they love, and this is my
Absolutely.
main thing that are absolutely important. So like, if I don't want to be going and doing something, I can like for example, the hours that I'm putting in is to build so I can be under the roof in 1 month. So we're building a little wooden buried wafati walipini type of thing, which also doesn't conflict with me because I'm developing a self-heating home for cold climate. But so communal work is important, and every single community that did survive has some communal work daily that bonds people. Have some meals. Well, we're eating daily, all 3 meals. Maybe it's too much because for me, it's also like I used to be like myself and my wife, and suddenly there is you know eating without my wife now with other people, 3 meals a day. So it's
Yeah.
obviously but when I have my own home on the land, I'll come through maybe for 1 meal a day and spend half a day with them, and then half a day, doing what I want. I'm just trying this out. It's all new to me. It's too early to comment. But a lone wolf living out there, or even like I spoke to somebody in the city, Kiev. He just came from Kiev. 3 million people also couldn't find any friends in 3 years. Everybody lives like a lone wolf in the cities. New York, or if you
Hmm.
find friends, it's like, what can I take from you, and what can you take from me in terms of financial benefit? People don't know any other relationships. So here, things are not built on money. You do things for each other for free,
Yeah.
unless you want to offer somebody money, like I need some help, and I'm really offering what's like $3 an hour, $4 an hour. That's like $4 an hour is the going rate. The God bless you, have it, man. Please help me with my home, and I get
Yeah.
somebody else to come and help you to accelerate the process. But he doesn't have to come and do this shit for me. It's one thing helping somebody for a couple of hours. It's another thing asking somebody to come and help for a month and a half. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Totally.
it's within reason, obviously. But for the one family, they keep on doing stuff for free for 3-4 hours a day, every day, if you're in this one family.
And are you applying? I mean, your website is fantastic. I guess I have a couple questions. Like first, how much of it is open source? Because the Auravana, we release our documentation. We're trying to create duplicable environments where we can essentially take the information that's out there that would allow people to live in community and create a document so that anybody can take that document and they can essentially begin constructing community wherever they are with this you know, essentially an open source instruction plan, an open source
Travis,
master plan.
let's do this. Let's press the record button. Let's have another call so we can just wrap up those questions. I've got time. These important questions. Let's not rush for it. Let me relocate my car so I don't have that bulldozer noise. Give me 3 minutes. Send me another Zoom link, and let's do it.
Okay, excellent. Okay. All right.
So why is it?
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, but it's no. Okay, here we go. So we have Anastasia Villages because that's like, you know, what I haven't tried, but I've driven to a few and I've tried, like, check them out. So basically, you know, Anastasia Communities, they're quite popular. It started off on the books of Anastasia, which is this woman in what it could be all fake. You know, the whole story could be God knows what Putin's program, a good Putin's program, basically to get people, I don't know what it is, but to basically get the people out of the cities, and they basically live like Dutchniki, so they do their thing, but on a hectare, not on a quarter of a hectare, but on a hectare. So there could be 30 families. Main problems there is also a lack of just cohesion of, you know, like people just can't agree on things. That's the main issue. Like, I want it like this, that one. So I could spend 3 months in a meeting trying to decide the shape of a communal home, you know, stuff like that. Or, for example, I drove to one 2 weeks ago, just was passing. So, oh, Anastasia Village, let me go check them out. And so they have wild horses, not wild, but, you know, belonging to somebody that just roam wild everywhere. So they're eating all their vegetables. So everybody in this community needs a fence. So I checked these people out. I said, hi. And then they're like, well, they're building a fence for their 1 hectare. But I'm like, but that's 400 meters and 1,200 feet of fence to do what, 2.5 acres to cover that up. Why can't you? Because if you, as a community, because you all need fences, you have these wild horses that are destroying your gardens. You all need fences. Yeah, of course, we all need fences urgently. Why don't you all agree on? Then you only have to do a fourth, because instead of doing 1 hectare, 1,200 square feet, you do just one side of your garden, and your neighbor does one side of their. So the fence is 4 times cheaper. I'm like, oh no, we can't find a compromise, or what they said. Yeah, they just can't agree, like on like things like that, like basic things that would cost them 4 times cheaper. So why I'm telling you this, because I'm telling you this because I've tried many things, and because you want to figure this out, this new way of living. I don't think any amount of, and I'm sorry, it might just make your brain warp out, but I don't think any amount of thorough thinking about it. I mean, I came to America, I was doing a seminar that I ran throughout America through like 9 or 10 states. I went and I presented the seminar on how to build successful communities. I don't even look at this right now. Sure, some of it is true, and some of it is definitely will work, like natural law and the lunar cycles. You know, all of these things do matter and do play a role. But as I said to you earlier, if we don't take into account people's traumas and their preparedness to work with that, and specific processes, because like when you say like work on yourself, it's a very abstract term. You know what I mean? For some people, work on myself might be sitting and meditating and pretending my thoughts are clouds and letting them fly by. The specific work that I'm talking about is actually going into the pain. I'll give you a quick one. My wife taught me. It's a very powerful process, and we have a course on it. consciousness integration, and it's in English and Russian, and it explains the whole process. But in essence, you start off with like, and it's a process that works, because I could be in the biggest depressive state. I'm shaking, literally, my knees are shaking. I'm freaking out, like panic attacks. You can do, obviously, you can smoke a joint and chill out instantly, or you can have a cigarette, chill out instantly, have a drink, chill out instantly. But obviously that comes with its downfall the next day, and blah blah blah. We all know where that leads to. Or you deal with it using specific process, like you find what's bothering me right now. For example, like what's bothering me now, I just moved money out of Binance into this other system that finally supposed to come to my Visa card, and it didn't come to my Visa card. And I have $15 in my account right now, right this second, and I'm in Siberia, and it's about to get into winter, and I'm like, shit, so like I'm worried about it. And on top of it, my wife stayed behind, and we are very close, so there's double whammy. But you got to pick up at least something one, because otherwise you can't work with it, and tomorrow it will be different, by the way. The money will come in, and my wife will arrive, and everything will be hunky-dory, and then boom, something else will come up, and I'm again not happy. And that's something to do with, yes, childhood traumas, things that parents and things said to us, or teachers said to us, and it can be at the same time people's addiction to the chemistry that generates in that worrisome state. So when almost things are too peachy and smooth, we're trying to find some problems so that we could get this state that we're used to. That's something to think about, because you might, people say, nah, it can't be. When things are good, and I'm telling you, no. When things are good, is like, it's good. You'll relocate to a new place 4 days. 4 days, you'll feel great there. And then it's like, it's right here. I'm not going to tell you like some wow stuff. It sits between the throat chakra somewhere here to your heart chakra. You start feeling a little churning, like they call it. And then your knees start to maybe go a little. Like, now everything is fine. If you don't deal with that stuff in this process that I'm explaining to you, maybe there's some other ones that work. I don't deny there's other processes, but it's got to be something that looks into these things, analytical for start. Then it basically eventually gets to a point where it starts to amplify, and then you like start feeling terrible. And if you're still not drinking, doping, or smoking cigarettes, and then it gets pretty hectic, and it might go away if you go to a festival, like have lots of people, like yesterday I did, and the next day it's like comes back, and you have to deal with it. Okay, and if you don't deal with it, it eventually you might say something terrible to your wife. You might say something terrible to your child, because there is a law of compensation. When you feel bad, you want to bring everybody else to the same level or even lower than you, because then you can be just a little up, or so we think. Obviously, then when we tell our wives and our children terrible things over and over again, eventually it's like they leave us, and we're in a far worse state than, and that's what we have with the world. We have a whole bunch of lonely people, lonely YouTubers doing great things on YouTube, sharing amazing things, but everybody's freaking alone, including myself right now. I just left my wife because I couldn't stay in that state and that city, and I came for my soul's calling. And currently, but there's a lot of people even in this community, they're like all divorced and alone. So this not loneliness, but this like separation from your loved one, it seems to be a big thing in our world. And that's also under question. Are we meant to be with one people for the rest of our lives? Although that's what the movies tell us, and that's what the fairy tale tells us. Maybe it's not normal. Maybe, yes, you live with this person for 20 years, you get your lessons that you need, then your soul needs something else. I don't know. I'm putting everything under question right now. Here they believe, coming back to your question of organization, that the man is the path. The woman is like an electron, spins around the proton, which is a man, and the man chooses like the path. Like I've chosen, like I'm going to live in this community now, and in their belief, and I'm not saying that their belief is also right. I'm checking it out. There's a lot of single men, where are all your women? If your belief is so right, and this is what your Christ, your second Christ, came down from the sky and told you this, where are all your women? And like, oh, well, we're spiritually growing. And I'm like, yes, but spiritual growth is all 7 areas of life are balanced from John Demartini. It's the financial, it's the vocational, it's the mental. So you're reading some good books, yeah, you're learning. You've got the physical, your physical body is nice and strong. You're not ill, you're just thriving physically, yeah. Financially, you're doing well. Vacation, I've mentioned that. Socially, you are out there engaging and doing something for the social calling, like Gandhi, or not saying like Gandhi, but I was born on the same day as Gandhi, by the way. But some social, something for the social, very important. We're just chilling with friends or doing something for the social. I don't know, social aspect, okay. And then there is the well, I don't know if I mentioned the psychological is also very important, because are you at peace with everything you're doing? Because if you have this churning inside, your legs are going, you're agitated, you keep on hurting yourself because keep on tripping on things. There's obviously some form of psychosis. Something is not right, something is not balanced, because if you're balanced, you're not chopping fingers off, and you're not tripping on things, or you're not forgetting or losing keys and stuff like that. So we've got to look at all. So for me, a spiritual person is not the one that's sitting without a family, out in a cave, poor as hell, and preaching me how life should be alone. You know what I mean? Put him in a social setting, is like fireworks are going off, crashing of egos, and all that shit hits the fan. It all goes well until you're sitting alone in a cave. So for me, also spiritual understanding is that which I just mentioned. I resonate with Demartini's. Maybe John Demartini is a bit too capitalistic for my liking. $3,000 an hour for consultation, but that's his rate. That's what his rate is. My rate is $100 an hour. His rate is 3,000. These people can't charge more than $4 an hour. Everybody's at different levels of their belief in themselves. Belief in themselves, which comes from self-worth, and self-worth comes from self-love, yeah, loving yourself. And so you give yourself enough for fair energy exchange, and loving others, so you maybe do some quality work for others. And it's a balance between the two. It's not if you love too much yourself, you got this big ego, people think you're a bastard and nobody wants to deal with you. If you love too much other people and not love yourself, is what you get in this community, where they're doing 4 hours of work for for other people, but for themselves, their house is falling apart. They don't even have a chimney. Like this guy just drove up. It's minus 30 Fahrenheit in 2 months, and he doesn't have a chimney. He says, "No, I'll just get a warmer blanket." He can't afford to put a chimney in. But he's doing 4 or 5 hours for this uni family that he's got. So why don't you reach out to this family? Maybe somebody can help you with a chimney or some bricks, or so that's what that lack of self-love, and maybe that's my part to share that with them. But because obviously maybe don't have such a concept, because everything else on giving, unprecedentedly, unconditionally, true giving, and it's like way too much giving. Like this guy just helped us for 2 days, and he's like, we just fed him, and I just dropped him off home. It's like, gosh, yeah, obviously. So that's what they're used to here. So what's your next question, Travis?
Yeah, so you have I'm trying to see how maybe we could work together in the future. So Auravana is essentially an open source project. And I definitely
Your question was about the open sourceness of my ideas. So Travis, I've got like 300 videos on YouTube. I constantly share, as you can see.
Yeah, I've been to your YouTube channel.
I love sharing, but this home that I'm putting together, which is this Earthship hybrid on steroids with sacred geometry and Gaudi type of, I'm working it out. I've already spent over 10,000 hours for it. So that's like I'm making a course of it,
Okay.
And then yes, that's how I make my money, by selling courses. I've got the water course, I've got the dome course, which is basically Aircrete and Super Adobe. The water one is the water self-sufficiency, which I spoke of earlier, which I figured out.
Your courses look amazing.
Yeah,
your
storage,
website looks amazing.
Harvesting, filtration, and gray water and recycling, and the pool conversion. Yeah, so that's how I make my money, and that's a little bit of. And then I've got this new course which is basically teaching how to draw on graph paper, conceptualize and draw on graph paper this cold climate bioarchitecture, which obviously can be applied to warm climate with changes, and then we take it into 3D program. So I have a course starting on 24th, and that helps me to carry on researching and developing. I mean, I'm not making money to live in big houses or drive a Lamborghini. I'm happy with my second-hand minivan, and I'm just plowing everything into research and development, and checking other communities and getting experience. I can share it with others, and of course that's all open source. And then eventually in 5-10 years time, when money won't matter, I'll put all my courses online for free, and it'll be there, all the courses for free online, so it'll become open source. I mean, all of it is already open source. If you search hard enough on YouTube, you can find everything. But the specific Earthship hybrid for cold climate is like, I'm nurturing it. I haven't even figured all the details out. I came to Siberia to test it. Will it work at -30 Fahrenheit? I've seen an Earthship work. I was in an Earthship when it was, I don't know, it was in Fahrenheit, but it was like -10 Taos winter. It was cold, but it's nothing like Siberia cold. And the house was warm. The Earthship was warm. You come inside, you take all the clothes off, and you're like, where's the oven? And it's like, no oven. It's just the walls are just like the laws of physics at work. So I'm like, well, how do we apply it to -30? And bring in sacred geometry into this, and biogeometry, which is Ibrahim Karim. Write it down, Ibrahim Karim. Amazing research on. So I want to bring that tech in. That's why I have my greenhouse going straight like Earthship, and then it has a 135-degree angle, because that 135-degree angle creates a high harmonic of gold and high harmonic of ultraviolet from biogeometry, the BG3 energy. And they did some tests with growing potatoes in Red Sea salt water, and this salt water they harmonized with the wooden plate with this, which looks like my greenhouse line. It's a straight line, and then 135-degree, and then these little bits sidelines on after that. And then they harmonized the water, and they were able to grow potato in Red Sea's water, is the most salty water, like the highest salinity sea in the world. A potato don't grow in salt water at all, but yet they were able to with biogeometry. So I obviously want to bring that tech in. I've studied biogeometry in Belgium, so I want to bring in that. I just got a go-ahead from Daria Karim, which is the daughter of Ibrahim Karim, to the go-ahead to translate the Ibrahim Karim's book in Russian. So that will be a nice, So that'll be a good project for this winter. So I want to just share knowledge. So it is so basically, to answer your question, most stuff is open source. Some stuff, and even the stuff that I'm doing, I shared the tech about how this house will work already on YouTube. The video is called Mechanics of Wattilarium or the Earthship. It's there, and all the tech I explain. But then the how all these things and the details of how it's built, step-by-step instruction plan with me running with videos and editing those hours and hours on end. I could most probably
amazing work
open end if somebody else could offer the editing skills for free. You know what I mean? And I didn't have to edit it. So, then it's tapping into the greater community of the world. It's like, Alosha, what do you need, man? What do you need to make this open source? I'm like, shit, man, I need an open. I need a video editor, and I need some building materials so I could build this thing. You know what I mean? Like, how much will that be, Alosha? Well, that will be, I don't know, 20 grand at most. Okay, so what can we do? Can we help you with a crowdfunding campaign? Oh my God, please! I've been trying to do Kickstarter for 9 years. Haven't figured it out. Tried Indiegogo, got like $1,000, didn't cover much. Please, Travis, I need help with social, with the what's it? You know what I mean? The crowdfunding. Yep. Okay, cool. So then, if we help you with that, and you just covered with your food and building materials, that can happen. So I'll put it open source. I just haven't had that support. Maybe I haven't reached out for it. I don't know. So for now, the only model I know is you get some money, you pay some labor, you buy a 3D printer. It's very material. But this community is also blowing my mind, how they're doing everything without money. So I'm up for learning and up for transferring those skills that I learned from here to others. I'm definitely there for sharing.
And when's your next course?
It's on 24th of September. I've only got one or two guys that signed up. It'd be really nice if the last one had 20, the previous one had 30. So it's the fourth one I'm running. I ran one in winter, autumn, summer, and I'm doing spring, summer, and now I'm doing one in autumn. So it's my fourth one. And basically, yeah, the link is bioveda.co/3D. Very simple. Yeah. So if you could share it with your friends, I've got another site with all the text and graphics already designed. bioveda.co/promo material. So there, it's all there. You just like, there is a banner for email, there is a Facebook size graphic, there's a YouTube downloadable video from Vimeo, there is 1280 by 720. There's everything for text, everything is there. So that'll be great if you could share it, and we could just kick off this class. And at the end of the day, I basically teach people how to conceptualize a home, how to draw the principles of bioarchitecture and what needs to be applied for different climatic conditions. And then we draw this specific home that I'm developing on graph paper, and then in Rhino 3D. And I even provide everybody Rhino 3D software. It's hacked, but yeah, I just give it away. Whatever. It's $1,000 software. They can have it. Yeah, for Mac and PC.
Okay. This is amazing. So, I love your work. I just have to say your work looks amazing. Your videos look amazing, and I think this is essential. Water is essential, architecture, these are all life support, and these things are essential for all of us on the planet. And the faster we get this sort of information out to more people, and the faster we're able to create master plans that people can just quickly, see the budget, see everything they need, and they're capable of thinking how they can transform their present environment into this sort of new sort of way of living on the planet. I think the faster we will begin releasing all the traumas that we have built up inside of us. Because what do we really need? We need the conditions around us to release these traumas and to begin living toward our highest potential. And without the conditions, meaning the water conditions, the architectural conditions, the social conditions, we're just going to keep having these traumas repeat and repeat. And
I think it all goes parallel. It all goes parallel, Grant. It's not what I've learned over these years and what I'm trying to explain. You can have the most kick-ass nature around you, like I do now, and you'll still have stuff come up. And we need specific processes that will help to release that churning inside of our chest, inside of our throat chakra. If we don't do that, it just turns really, really bitter. And a fast way to get rid of it is a joint or a drink, but it has a side effect, which is not just like sore lungs or an ill head the next day. You don't deal with these things, they come up, and they come in much harder.
So if, like, on the Auravana website, what do you think we could present to people, or what do you think we could present to people in this way that would give them a tool or a tool set that would allow them to think through and release some of this trauma? Would like a handout with a description of what processes potentially are available? What do you think would be useful?
Yeah. So we have a course on that called consciousness integration. That's one of the buttons on my website. It's a really powerful course. There's not many people that have taken it, but it's a lot of work. It's like not an easy thing. It's like, in the beginning, we're all highly traumatized. I mean, like, everybody, just people choose to believe in it or ignore it, but we all carry a lot of baggage. So the simple thing to do to start off is to start analyzing, like how am I feeling now? Simple questions. What's bothering me right now? So I didn't finish telling you the process. What's bothering me right now, let's say, is that I have $15 in my account. So that's could be bothering me, although it's not actually bothering me that much, because it's all in Bitcoins, and it's all there, but it's not here. I can't use it. So whatever. So let's just say if it's bothering me. And what's actually bothering me is that my wife didn't come here. That's the main thing. Yeah. So let me deal with that, okay? So that's the truly painful thing for me right now, is that my other half chose, I'm already 25 days without her. So how does the process go? Okay, so you have to find three parts to it, okay? The one is the thought, feeling, and emotion.
Mm.
Okay, so the thought is, oh my God, I'm so alone. You know, my other half's not here. So that's a thought. So you have, like you, when you're video editing, you have to find a peak moment in the situation, and you freeze it, like you freeze frame. And we explain it in this course. But yeah, you find this freeze frame, like at the peak. Picture, sorry, picture, thought, emotion. Like a picture, thought, emotion, picture, thought, emotion, not the
Feeling.
not the other one. Yeah, picture, thought, emotion. So what's the picture? The picture is I'm, for example, sitting in front of my desk. For example, I'm making up this moment. I'm sitting, I'm alone, although I'm in a community, but I'm feeling so alone because my wife is not here and snow's falling. I'm sitting in front of the window and I know I could be drinking tea with her, but I'm not. So I'm just alone and I'm like, shit, man, you know, I just hate, like, where is she? I just want to be with her. And I'm like really feeling, and then what's the emotion? I'm feeling that pain and alone and pain. I'm feeling that pain inside my heart chakra. So you freeze that, okay? You take that on your left eye.
Mm-hmm.
Then you just for future. Then on the right, you take the opposites. For example, I could be still sitting in front of that window. I've had a really, and that's where analytical work of journaling starts coming in. I rewrote my childhood. I didn't have a father that drank all my life and didn't charge me rent at the age of 18 of $2,000 a month. You know, I didn't have that. Let's say I had a different father that was supportive, a different environment. So I grew up a different person, and I'm actually love being with myself. I don't have a fear of being alone. You know, let's say I just grew up a different person. I'm balanced. You know, there's people like that. You know, I mean, you have friends, I'm sure, that they're just great. They're like, I love being alone, you know, and they just like so balanced and they don't have that fear of being alone. So I'm sitting with that. I'm a different person. I'm sitting in front of the window and I'm just like Jacques Fresco. I'm designing this new type of co-working Arco Santi, like Arizona type of space where collaborators and architects and designers can come and play for like 2-3 months and then separate, which is actually where I'm going. This is a new type of community that I'm thinking through, inspired by Arco Santi, Jacques Fresco, and the likes. Okay, so, and I'm sitting in front of the window, same snow falling, but I'm just blossoming. I've just got this crazy idea. I'm like, you know, I just figured like a little puzzle piece, which was important to, you know, and I'm like just thriving. So now picture, same window, emotion is like, love it, you know, eureka. And a thought is like, yes, man, you know, love this time alone. If I was with somebody else, I wouldn't have been able to, you know. So you make up the story, yeah? And then you alternate. So you inhale, amplify this eureka, amplify, exhale, amplify, and then you flip to your left eye, and then you like sit in front of the window. Oh, I'm so alone. I'm like, oh, I'm alone. You go into this pain, you feel it, you amplify it, and then you exhale, you amplify, and you go boom, and then you go to the right side, and then you're back to that Jacques Fresco moment, eureka. Travis, I tell you, this process kicks ass because you rip neurons, you rewire things. 15 minutes later, you are feeling, man, you move from the most depressive, freaked out panic attack to just like, oh my God. Obviously, after the process, you open your crown chakra, you fill with light, you picture Taurus, I'm light, I'm love, blah, blah, blah. You do some affirmations, you finish up, very important to finish up with that. Then you come out, man, you switch on some music, or whatever you want to do. Like, I'm just saying, to do 2 different states. Panic attack on 15 minutes ago to like now to like, yes, just feel good. Even if you're not dancing, you're just like, just release of this churning. And this is, I'm talking to myself. I'm going to go and do this process. Very, very important. That stuff works, amazingly works. So yeah, I mean, you could put a little, you know, I don't know what, like, I don't know, you know, we can make up a graphic like release yourself from torture to 15 minutes into a blissful state. But there's so many of these marketing graphics. I don't know, but here is a process. I've just given it to you. Do what you want with it. We have a course that explains it in detail. I think it's called consciousness integration. It's called that, and it's on our website as well. But as I said, it's like work, because tomorrow some other feeling will come up, and your money will be there, and your wife will be there, and it will be like, and then like, I don't know what it is. No, but something is like churning here. Something is like not comfortable. What is it, Travis? I don't know. Okay, Travis. So, but if you're a little, where is it? So you said, Travis says, it's here, for example. Okay, so if you're a little cell, Travis, you're a tiny little molecule, and you are there in that point, what are you feeling? And you're like, I'm remembering, like my mom said to me something like this, boom, and you find that thing, and then you work with that, and then you find the amplifying part of that terrible situation. Maybe your father said something to you and it was like just shit, man, and it's just like your whole life crashes right there in that second. You find that second, the peak moment, you freeze that frame, you freeze it like the video editing, boom, at the peak moment, and you find picture. What's the picture? You could be where you're sitting, where you're standing, what you're looking, you're seeing your father in front of you. What is it? Thought and emotion. Those three components. And then you make up the opposite story. For example, if your father maybe was different, and that's where a bit of journaling comes in. You have to be creative about it. Or maybe, you find some other story that did happen in your life that you don't make up. That was the opposite of this. And you basically the polarity that was driven into us from the young childhood, bad boy, good boy, all of that. A+ for you, E- for you. It creates a split polarity. That's where the schizophrenia comes through, because eventually you got these two personalities, and my bad boy, my good boy. And you actually like Gollum in the freaking Lord of the Rings. And it really gets that bad. And like 5% of Americans are on some more 30% of Americans are on some type of psychological drugs, or not even Americans. Why are we talking about Americans? Like a lot of people, even in Russia, lots of people are taking some form. If we speak of who's not on alcohol, who's not on marijuana, who's not on tobacco, and who's not on some form of psychological antidepressant or some form of something of that kind. And you find me and you start to see, oh my God, it's like, this is a serious problem. We have half of the world, at least 50-60% who are indulging in one of those four. So maybe even 70%, maybe 80%. You start to realize, okay, also what you're saying is very real. People are having pain and they haven't figured out how to deal with it. And then there's another thing that kicks in as a competition. When I was in an amazing state from yoga, I'm thriving, I'm blossoming, I'm walking to the kitchen, and my dad is like, on me, and then he locks my neck into his strong arm, and I'm like, I get out of there, and I pick up a knife, and I was 22 years old. I'm gonna kill you, all of that stuff. And now my son, he's 17. He says, I'm gonna kill you, because I didn't even do anything like that to him. But it just came back. When he was in a good, happy state, I grabbed his shoulders and I just did this, just pushed him down. So this competition is really, really, really serious, because fathers compete with children when children are feeling somewhat better when a father is. This is real shit, Travis. And if we don't talk about these things and at least become aware of these things, I'm sorry, 90% divorce rate, 90% community failure rate. This is real stuff. Because of these things. They come with euphoria, they come with great ideas, they come with like high expectations, and then they, even here, there's some suicides that happened here, but because people came and they thought it's going to be heaven and thought people are going to be all nice and supportive of each other, and then they get the other side of the story and they're in shock. And I can resonate with that, because people bring their traumas, people bring their illnesses, and if they're not prepared to work with that, or they don't have specific processes, which I just explained to you, or others, I'm not saying this is the only one. Something that works is definitely the opposite of sitting in a meditation and looking at your thoughts go by the clouds. It's the opposite of that. So when we're talking about like, you need to be prepared to do inner work when you join our community. It's like, it's a very abstract concept. What do you mean by inner work? This is what I mean by inner work. But people will definitely, wherever there'll be a million people, there'll be a million different opinions of what inner work is. And 99% of that won't work as inner work, and shit will hit the fan, and then you have children who want to kill fathers, and people and neighbors who shoot at each other, like in my case, and all this other stuff that I spoke of. So this is very, very serious. No matter how deep you go in with your super powerful concept, it will not work if we don't deal with these things. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, no, I concur with you. I do concur. Bringing trauma into a place where the conditions are better will just create bad conditions, which bring up the trauma again. So
yeah,
this is important. It's not something that the Auravana project is really, the onboarding process doesn't really include a lot of this. I mean, I've had conversations with other people about it, but I've never put anything together.
This is paramount. This is paramount. Yeah. I'm telling you, you can move now to Russia with $2,000, build yourself a home, and then all those things that you speak of are already covered. You have a home, you have firewood, you have drinking water. Right here, there's a river that I was standing, that huge river, 300 feet wide. It's all drinking water. So drinking water is not a problem. Food, you can spend a month of your year. You have more food than you can eat for 2 years, just potatoes and pumpkins and this and that. But then, then the whole, if you're feeling terrible, then the thing kicks in that I want to buy a bigger house than the neighbor. I want to buy a bigger car and a better, and then we get into credit, and that whole story kicks in, which I fell in. Yep. I bought a 3-story. Why the hell do I need a 3-story house? Now I could have, with the money I had at the age of 23, there's no way I needed to get into credit. I had a booming business. I could have bought myself a piece of land and started off small with something I could afford. No, I want a freaking 3-bedroom house, and a cabriolet, a Peugeot cabriolet that I sold a year later, a third of the price cheaper. Peugeot, 308 or whatever it was. It's shit like that. It's just, and it all comes from feeling terrible, because we believe that when we feel terrible, we have to get things to bump up. There's an English phrase for you again. So, and then we get into credit, which hooks us for 25 years.
Yes, it does.
And you ain't having people move to your community if they have credit in the city, or if they're brave enough, like myself, to walk out of their home, which I did, and lose everything and start at the age of 40 with a bicycle in your new country. But not many people can handle that. I nearly had a nervous breakdown.
Yeah,
really, I did some. Yeah, it was really, really bad. I climbed walls. My wife told me, "Get the hell out of here." She moved out. Yeah. You're sleeping on the floor in a studio, unfurnished. Just so she could get away from me, because I went that crazy I just wasn't a nice person. So this is very important things. Families break up, children, everybody, competition between mothers who want to hijack their sons and don't let their children get married. And it's not just staying near me, or they say things like that to their sons who are now 30, 40-year-old sons living with their moms. And the first marriage didn't work out, second marriage. And you'll see mom has a direct role to play at breaking up the marriage, whether she says something quietly in the ear of the thing. My mom told my brother's wife to go and shag somebody else because my brother was playing around on the side. So these are real things, and it's not like my family is crazy. This is,
no, it's very common.
Like that.
It is.
So these are very serious problems, because the parents haven't played out their inner child stories. Everybody's stuck basically at the age of like 7 to 14. You have a mature and not mature. You have an adult in a 7 or 14-year-old body that just like haven't flipped, to the other side. And that's where I have 80% of the world stuck there, if not more. It's a very real thing. So when things are nice, everybody's smiling. How are you? I'm fine, thanks. And a smile like a typical, European would. But it's not fine, thanks. There is like a deep pain that people are carrying and nobody wants to talk about. It's not comfortable to talk about these things. I'm fine. It's not never mind, it's not comfortable. People have a fear if they start speaking about these things, then they start losing their job. Their boss says, "Come on, I
We
don't
have
need
1 minute left. Sorry.
yeah, yeah, cool." So I just want to wrap up with that. I don't have all the answers. I'm still figuring out. I've moved to this community, and we can do a session 2 in like 6 months, and I can give you an update. But
That's
I'd
cool.
love
That's
to chat with you afterwards. We'll stay on WhatsApp. And
yeah, definitely.
please go to that website and share whatever you want on your site. If you want me to make up your graphic, I'll make your graphic that fits your size, whatever you need. No problem.
Okay. Yeah, definitely share your content. Your content's amazing. I mean, it really looks amazing. Your website, all the videos. Thank you for the
just
work that you've
sleep
been
on all the
doing.
information. We don't have all the answers, but we're trying to make the world a better place. You
Together.
are, I am, and we're figuring it out. And we've tried many things, and we just don't. I just don't want other people to repeat the same mistakes.